Welcome to this video where we're going to look at the principles of moving a patient. So this follows on from the other trauma videos that we've been making. So we would have already done our patient assessment. The patient may have a cervical collar fitted, they may have a pelvic binder, or any of the other treatment that we've looked at in previous videos. Now we need to move the patient. We want to try and keep them in this neutral alignment as best as possible. Remembering you might still have someone who is doing manual inline stabilisation throughout the procedure, and we're going to work around them. So what we're looking at is this orthopaedic stretcher, or known as the scoop stretcher, because in basic principles it's going to scoop the patient up. You can use this in a number of different ways. You might use it to literally lift the patient and keep them in manual inline stabilisation whilst you place them on another stretcher device such as the Reeves or the MIBS or one of those, which we'll be looking at in additional videos. Or you might be strapping them to this and leaving them on this. Again, that is in a separate video. So the basic principles of how the scoop works. The first thing we're going to do is keep the scoop in one whole piece, and we're going to align it to the patient. So the first thing I want to do is make sure the top of the scoop, which is the wider bit for the head, is above the head of the patient. I then come down to the foot end and make sure that the foot end is longer than the patient. If this isn't the case, then we can extend the length of the scoop. So we've got these little clips here, they just lift up, we put it out slightly, drop the clips back down. As we carry on pulling, it will click into the next available hole. And there you see it's clicked in, make sure both sides are done, and now we know this is the right length for the patient. Now I've got it the right length, I'm going to split the scoop, and they all work in slightly different ways. This one's got two buttons on the outside, which we'll pull apart. So make sure you know your equipment and how it works. So again, we just split the scoop. This left-hand side of the scoop is going to stay on this side of the patient. The right-hand side, rather than lifting it over the patient, we make sure we come down and around the patient, just so nothing falls on the patient. So it's good practice to try and go around the patient rather than stepping over the top. With the top of the scoop, what we're going to do is click it back together, making sure we warn the patient it's about to happen. And now I'm just going to bring this in close, so we've probably got about 2 centimetres above the patient's head, making sure we're not going to trap or catch the patient's head. But again, you might have someone who is performing manual inline stabilisation throughout this procedure who will be talking to the patient. You can now see the scoop has got a scissor effect to it, which is the way I like to use it. And as I just start to bring it in until it starts to pinch on the patient, the first thing it's going to pinch on is around the shoulder blades, and as we go down. Now, sometimes this might pinch slightly, but we can just lift the patient, particularly the pelvis area, only about 1 centimetre just to get the scoop underneath. Now, the way I like to do this, so I've got eye contact with the patient, warning them what I'm doing, but it's good posture for me. As I work my way down the patient, my feet are just bringing the scoop in, nice and gently, bit at a time, and when I get to the bottom, it's not quite enough. So I could repeat that process, and if it is pinching, I could look at where it's pinching, do a slight lift of the pelvis area, just to bring it in. This is really nice and gentle, remembering our patient might have spinal injuries. There are other ways of doing the scoop where we can bring it in quite parallel to the patient, but on them occasions you sometimes have to do a log roll, which I'm trying to avoid if possible. Make sure the feet end is clicked in, so just by pushing that together, we get that click, double check it, everything's secure, we're now ready to lift the patient. This would be a team activity. As a general rule, the person at the head normally takes command, and we're going to use the standard of ready, brace, move. So on this occasion, I would have the head ready, brace, move. We would then lift in a safe manner as a team to either place the patient onto another device that we're going to use, or so that we can actually manoeuvre them on here. But if we are going to manoeuvre them, then we're looking at strapping the patient on. So we're now going to go to the next video where we're going to look at how we can apply the straps to this scoop stretcher, including the head blocks. I'll see you on the next video.